Imagine that reality is nothing more than a thin, stretched fabric. Now, imagine an object so heavy that it doesn't just stretch this fabric, it tears a hole right through it, a hole from which there is no return. At this precise point in space, time ceases to be a straight line. It curls into a loop. Here, the laws that govern your world simply do not apply. If you chose to hurl our entire solar system into this abyss, it wouldn't just perish, it would vanish, without even touching the edges. We are used to thinking of ourselves as masters of our own destiny. But 10 billion light years away, something pulses, something that makes all of humanity, with all our wars, our dreams, and our love, smaller than a stray speck of dust in a beam of light. This is TON 618, the most massive black hole ever discovered by man, an object that should not exist. And today, we will break it down piece by piece to understand. How did a monster weighing 66 billion suns grow in such a young universe? Silence. That is the first thing you would feel if physics allowed you to stand at the threshold of this titan. But this is not the peaceful forest silence we are used to on Earth, falling asleep to the rustle of leaves. This is the icy absolute silence of the vacuum, where space itself feels electrified by a monstrous tension and time begins to stretch, like thick, heavy honey. In this video, we aren't going to build science fiction theories about traveling through wormholes or meeting ancient aliens. The dry, scientifically proven facts will be enough. The kind of facts that send a very real chill down your spine. We will walk this path together, from a tiny, barely noticeable violet dot on a dusty photographic plate from the 1950s, to the realization that our entire fragile existence happens in the shadow of a sleeping cosmic god. In modern astrophysics, there is a concept that terrifies even the most hardened scientists: the event horizon. This is not just a physical boundary. It is the point of final absolute choice. It is the line beyond which even light, the fastest, most elusive thing in the universe, surrenders and forever admits defeat before gravity. For TON 618, this line is so enormous that the human mind, accustomed to earthly scales, simply cannot find a proper analogy. Light, which can circle the Earth 7 times in a single second, would need an entire week just to cross this space from one edge to the other. Think about that majesty. 7 days of travel at the absolute speed limit of the universe, and all of it is just the diameter of a single black shadow, behind which lies nothing but eternity. This void could easily swallow 40 systems just like ours. 40 blazing suns, 40 frozen Neptunes, billions of tons of planetary matter and gas clouds. It would all disappear into this womb without a single splash. And even then, there would still be room for infinite loneliness. Why does this realization disturb us so deeply? Perhaps because TON 618 insolently and crudely breaks all our ideas about the rules of the game. It is like an old, deep, and unhealed scar on the face of the universe, a silent reminder that chaos and primordial darkness ruled here long before the first spark of consciousness ever flickered. Scientists use the term ultramassive, but for us, it is just another word, a humble attempt by a small human mind to somehow classify a horror that defies all earthly logic. This monster was a giant even when the cosmos itself was still an infant. It seemed to refuse to wait its turn in the long chain of evolution, growing instantly, like a sudden tumor on the body of young, uncooled space. In the chapters to follow, we will deconstruct this story. We will look into a past that blinds us with its fury and return to the present to ask ourselves the ultimate question: why does a shadow sleep at the heart of our own galaxy too? Perhaps we are only alive because our own monster is full for today. But TON 618 is our eternal reminder. The appetite of the cosmos knows no bounds, and time, sooner or later, takes back everything that was once created from light. In 1957, when humanity was taking its first tentative steps into space, Mexican astronomers at the Tonantzintla Observatory noticed something strange. On old photographic plates, among thousands of familiar stars, a tiny, barely visible purple dot appeared. In the catalogs, it was dryly labeled as TON 618. At the time, no one shuddered in horror. No one realized that this dot was more than just a distant star. For decades, astronomers stared into this eye of the devil, unaware of what lay behind it. To the science of that era, it was nothing, an ordinary dim object on the periphery of vision. But the cosmos knows how to wait. Only years later, when technology allowed us to peer behind the curtain of visible light, the mask fell. It turned out that this purple dot was not in our galaxy. It was infinitely further away. So far that its light had traveled to us for 10 billion years. The realization hit the scientific community like an icy shower. If an object is so far away, yet shines so brightly that we can see it in ordinary telescopes, it means its power is beyond limits. It wasn't starlight. It was the death cry of matter, being consumed by the largest predator in the universe. We understood. TON 618 is not a star. It is a quasar, a blazing halo around a black hole, whose brightness is 140 trillion times that of our sun. For decades, we looked at a ghost from the deep past, not realizing that before us was the absolute triumph of darkness. Hiding under a mask of innocent flickering, now, knowing its true face, we are ready to look into the abyss itself. But if TON 618 is absolute darkness, then why is it the brightest object in the universe? The answer lies in its fury. The black hole itself does not shine. It is the friction of its victims that screams in the light. Gas and dust, swirling around this monster, are accelerated to near light speeds. Friction turns matter into a searing plasma, white-hot and unforgiving. This accretion disk is thousands of times wider than our entire solar system. It burns brighter than all the stars of the Milky Way combined. If you could look at it up close, you wouldn't see shadows. You would see the blinding, unbearable halo of a sadistic god tearing the very fabric of space. This is not just light. It is the death rattle of millions of suns, burning in an embrace from which there is no escape. We call it a quasar, but in truth, it is a lighthouse built upon a graveyard of worlds. The most terrifying thing about TON 618 is not its size, it is its age. It appeared when the universe was still an infant. How? How could something so perfect in its destruction grow so vast so soon after the Big Bang? Science whispers of primordial seeds and direct collapse. But for us, standing on a speck of dust called Earth, the answer is different. TON 618 is a reminder. We are used to thinking of our world as stable. We look at Sagittarius A, the black hole at the center of our own galaxy, as a sleeping beast. But TON 618 shows us what that beast looks like when it is hungry. Looking at light that traveled 10 billion years to reach us, we are staring at a past that no longer exists. Perhaps TON 618 has already consumed everything around it and fallen into a dreamless sleep. Or perhaps it has become something even greater, something for which we have no name. We are voyagers in an ocean of time, and while we stare at this silent titan at the edge of eternity, it stares back into us. Be careful when looking into the abyss, for sometimes the abyss begins to feel hungry. This was Star Voyager. If you felt the chill of the void, join us, subscribe, and let's face the cold cosmos together. Until next time.